Actually, maybe not, because the cops got into a shootout at the airport, right? I got to ask a question before we get to this airport stuff. Are the cops under fire? Because the other day I reported on what happened with the 16-year-old RIP, but, you know, from what they were showing in the body cam, he pulled out and then the cops started shooting.
Yeah.
Now, in this incident, and I'll play a clip in a second, they're saying that there was an argument at the airport between two parties. And then when the cops came to intervene, somebody pulled out a gun on the cop and they ended up shooting the guy.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening in Toronto? Or is man's just like, yo, we're over it. We're just going to start popping on cops right now?
I feel it's a lot of mental health.
100%.
Lack of money. You're bringing in a lot of, I don't want to sound rude.
Immigration.
Yeah. Regardless if it's Caucasian, Black, Indian, anything. A lot of it's coming in, and a lot of people are coming from places that probably have more trauma than here.
Yeah.
And have no authority, no respect for police.
No respect for authority.
Yeah. Right? So when your man's pulling out a strap on a cop,
what I'm saying,
where are you from?
I'll play
Where
the
they
clip.
do that? Where they do that?
Where do they do that? And then they're not going to shoot you.
But there is places they're doing that.
A man is dead after being shot by Peel Regional Police officers this morning at the Terminal 1 departures drop-off area.
Terminal 1.
Incoming and outgoing passengers saw a chaotic scene following the incident with a heavy police presence. The CBC's Jamie Strachan has the latest from Pearson.
The Special Investigations Unit, the provincial unit that's brought in when there's a shooting that involves police, they are still on the scene trying to figure out exactly what happened. Here's what we do know, Andrew. At around 7 o'clock this morning, police were called to the Terminal 1 area, the sidewalk outside of the departures area. There was a man reported to be in distress. He was with a group of family members, some of whom were traveling, expected to travel today. Security or one of the parking people who were at the airport kind of keeping cars along tried to talk to the group, was unsuccessful. A group 3 police officers then arrived on scene from Peel Regional Police, who have a unit here at the airport. Peel Police Chief spoke with reporters moments ago and explains what happened next.
What our officers engaged in was a discussion with a group of individuals that were experiencing a dispute. Our officers spent an amount of time trying to resolve the dispute, an immense amount of de-escalation and engagement with the parties. However,
we love hip-hop.
Abruptly, one of the individuals produced a firearm at our officers, and I must say that there were 3 officers that responded. As a result of that, to protect themselves and the community and the passengers here at the airport, 2 of the officers engaged with the individual. As a result, the subject was shot. Despite the best efforts of those officers, even to provide life-saving remedies to the individual.
Sorry, we can stop there. So, yeah, a dispute about what? Parking and baggage? Like, I'm confused. Like, what was the dispute over, and why does man have a gun?
Well, regardless of what the dispute was over, the fact that you chose to pull out your gun when the police are already there dealing with it leads me to believe that maybe you have some type of like suppressed suicidal inclinations because you know what you're doing and the implications of it. So maybe it's like, I don't like life, but I don't want to take away my own life. So let me put myself in a situation. But it could have just been sporadic where he was like, you know what? I'm high. You know, like.
Why do you have a gun at the airport?
Another big question, especially at the airport.
That's the worst place to have the gun.
It's the worst place to do anything.
Yeah.
Except travel.
We're about to vote, right?
Monday. Actually, today while people are watching this.
We're about to vote. Gun laws. Liberals. You know, let's get them out of here.
So wait, is this guy like a setup?
I don't want to sound like one of those type of guys right now, bro. But like, I'm not saying that's the setup, but what perfect timing, you know?
For Polyev.
Right?
For Polyev is
For Polyev.
No, because like I'm saying, because he's the
Perfect
guy who's
timing.
gonna lock these guys up, right?
Perfect timing. But this time it was from the police, right? There's no one to lock up. Are you going to lock up the police?
But they do support Pierre, the Toronto Police
Yeah.
Services. They've said, like,
so
yo, we rock with Pierre.
That is the action that's going to be coming into play now. They're just going to be shooting.
No, because it's like 2 in like the
In a
space
week.
of a week.
Yeah, the police are ready to shoot.
Yeah, but
They know how crazy. If you really look in depth on what's going on in our city, fam, this is Gotham.
Yeah.
The things that are going on in our city that you don't know about, bro.
That's why I wanted to bring this up, and I had to mention the last shooting because it's like there's a broader issue going on than just this isolated airport shooting. There's I don't want to call it a war against police, but there might be a war against police.
no, I think it's a combination of like mental health, maybe access to guns, and then the lawlessness that you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
more of a blatant disregard
Yeah.
for the police and the law now, and that could be due to a cultural shift. It could be due to economic
It is
struggles. You know what I'm saying?
It's a big cultural shift.
Hmm.
Think about some of these South American countries that have no respect for the law,
Mm-hmm.
right? Certain Middle Eastern, I don't want to just categorize people, but like, yo, some of these places is shoot first, ask questions later, right?
Yeah.
But
what's
a lot of those
F a police?
places, the government
At the
and the
police.
police, they're not even the highest authority.
No,
like
the gangsta is.
the gang, exactly, like the
Yeah.
cartels
Yeah.
or like the terrorist groups or whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe Toronto, the mafia scene is trying to like supersede the police. I don't know though, because Toronto police are paid well here. There's so
Mhm.
much money into it that like we've never struggled with that corruption that other countries have with their mafias.
Yeah.
A little bit, obviously, but like not to the extent where it's like in Mexico, you get arrested, you can get out of that right then and there by paying a cop, and they'll ask you for money. That doesn't happen here. You can't.
No.
It's a little more subtle. You got to move some pieces. you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
You're very right.
yeah. I just feel like we're getting way more belligerent. Like just the audacity. Like I'm not saying police are higher than everybody, but like they have a certain place in society where you pull out a gun on a police. If you live, you're getting locked under the jail. So like now to be able to have the balls to do that, bro. Like what are we doing here, fam? Where are we going? Are we really going to Armageddon?
Yo.
Like we're like mans are just like F police. Like we're not in a third world country, fam. Like I see what you guys are saying, but
hold
we're
on.
in Canada, fam.
Yeah, but
It's becoming
but it is because we have third world country tendencies now.
Yeah, we're pulling out on cops, fam. That's crazy to
That
me.
is crazy. But it's,
Like 2 times in 1 week, bro. That's crazy to me, fam. Like with the youngins, like I can understand the full prefrontal cortex not being there. You made some bad decisions, but your bad decision, even being around certain mans, is pull out on the boy them. What's happening, fam?
yo,
You know what? There's probably this thing like their police are just like, but they're just as scared. They want to go home too.
Yes, but they are also they're authorities. Like, are people looking at them like they're not anymore?
not.
Hope you're enjoying the video. Do me a quick favor while you're here and smash that like button so we can break the algorithm. And join the comment gang and subscribe. It's free.
No, they're not. You're just a normal person, just like me and you. You got to go punch in a clock. You actually work for me,
Yeah, but you can put me in jail.
but you
Like-
still work for me. They still work for you.
I understand that. And I don't want to be like,
Be
yo,
the
we should be
best.
scared of the police and be
Yeah.
pussy and kiss their ass. But like,
Yeah.
there's still a level of authority that people, if they don't respect it, we don't have a society, bro.
exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say like you have to have a minimum level of respect for the law if you want to have a society, or else it's gonna be lawless, and then it's gonna be
Yes.
whoever has the most straps or whoever's the strongest can just take over anything. And now you're seeing that, like, I feel like criminals are getting away with more.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe now they're feeling like they can kind of push the envelope a little bit when it comes to their interactions with police, because they're like, you guys don't even have the city under control. Why would I respect you when everything is chaos right now? You guys aren't even doing your job properly,
Yeah.
allegedly. Like obviously they have a hard job, but it's like with all this crime and stuff, you guys aren't even on it like that.
I want to see where like some of the officers are from in like Metro
Mm.
and in Peel. I want to see where they grew up. if they really grew up in Jane and Finch, if they really grew up in certain places,
Yeah.
if they're not just some little floozy from Newmarket or somewhere and then coming around. And now, come on, they've never probably seen a dead body or never, like, until they got to the force.
Mhm.
They've never really had to hear about gang violence until they got to the force. So imagine now you have a shift as a, kid from somewhere outside of Toronto.
Richmond Hill kid, yeah.
I'll say somewhere outside of Toronto, a little further even, where it's not.
A Bowmanville kid.
Yeah, like, but now you're a Toronto officer and you pull over some of the man them. I need to ask one of them a question. Were you shaking in your boots the first time you ever had to approach a kid that's maybe from a certain neighborhood?
Especially when if you now even moving forward, watching footage where men them are pulling out on the boy them, and I joined the police academy, bro. I might be walking up to these cars with my gun out, bro.
Now you're profiling crazy.
Yes, and you know what I like? I drive, you drive. I'm kind of like, hey, drive. I feel like it's coming back, that driving black thing, or that just driving it, period.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like if they have to be pulling out on you, I could just move my hand and now I'm shot. There's two things, right? Because they're going to be scared now because people are actually pulling guns on them.
Yeah. And we're not only doing that, and not we, but like the people are not only doing that, like they're knocking down the speed trap things, like the little tent things that they build for them. Like people are taking them, dragging them into the river. Right, they just put a whole bunch of new ones into the city, like lately, like I think 80 new ones, and people are already vandalizing them. Like we have no respect for authority over here no more.
Yeah, but you know what it is, fam? It's the discrepancy between municipal, provincial, and federal authority. Because like it almost seems like our own local stuff is trying to like erase our national stuff. Like for example, like the way the city's moving, it's like, it doesn't seem like they're working for us. You're trying to tax your citizens. Yeah. You're trying to send me a random mail letter with $200 and a picture of me speeding. And now like me as someone who's like middle class, lower middle class, like now I'm shaking. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's like, it's just a money grab. But I want to ask you guys something because I always feel like firearms were like in Toronto, but I feel like maybe when it was like older generations, there was a little more like education around how to carry, when to carry, why to carry. Like now it just seems like everyone's just reckless and open with it. But before, like you kind of still had to have a little bit of
code of conduct.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we had that, but
man got caught with burners.
Yeah, it's there's always been an issue with guns in Toronto and Canada or whatever, like from the 90s, bro.
Like before that.
Yeah, like anytime I see like the mayors, whether it's Olivia Chow or homeboy from before, and get on and say, well, the problem is that we have so much guns coming in from the US. Like, duh, nigga. Like, this has been happening from the time when I was 16, 17, bringing them over. You know what I'm saying?
I almost told you that.
I know, right? 16, 17, but I heard that there's no statute of limitation in Canada, so now I need to just shut the hell up.
I looked at you again. Like...
You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, like this has always been an issue is what my point is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so it's nothing to even point out like, oh, we're getting them from the States. What are you actually doing about it though?
I don't know, man. There's just too much going on. They're trying to import too many people. Like, you know how you said we're not a third world country? You know, they said in 2040, we're going to have to hunt for our food in Canada.
I eat that thing.
Because of how the social system and economic system is going to collapse. Like, that's only 15 years from now. Most people are not prepared for that reality.
No, but the mistake,
you know what I'm saying?
The mistake comes with bringing in a lot of people from places that have collapsed systems.
Yes, and a lot of them are coming here undocumented. So if you bring someone undocumented here, and by the way, Toronto has these policies where it's like, if you're undocumented, you need medical service, you can go to a doctor and he's not allowed to snitch on you. He's not allowed to get you deported. Wow. It's the access TO policy. So
I've seen it.
Yeah, so if you're bringing undocumented people here, right, how can they work besides the black market, besides illegal activity? What law-abiding corporation can hire them, put their SIN number in, and not send? So now you're forcing them to be prostitutes. You're forcing them to be drug dealers. You're forcing them to do trafficking or whatever they can that's under the table. So now you're creating crime. You're using our tax dollars to service these people. They're not coming here to like assimilate at all. They're
No.
ruining the cultural landscape of our country. And it's happening under their watch. So it's like they want to destroy this country, bro. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a setup,
No,
bro.
when you just explain it there, it sounds like it's like something they want.
They want, and that's why the discrepancy between the municipal, federal, like our own local government is trying to dismantle what our federal government and provincial government is trying to establish. You know what I'm saying? And it's all these like new educated politicians, like my generation, where like feminism and all this like hardcore like equity stuff was like really being pushed in universities. Like you pay for propaganda in university. I always tell people, as someone with a uni degree, do not go to university, bro. Go to college, get a skilled trade,
and get out of there.
Get out of there, bro. Don't let them brainwash you, because that's how they want you to think.
Systematic. It's jail.
And
it's just
they want you to be commie.
It's jail, just at a nicer building.
Yeah.
Real talk.
And you'll might have like a $100,000 debt over your head.
Yeah,
that you have to
I
pay
just
off.
paid mine.
Yeah, but that you know what helps when you have all that debt, but now mentally you're a communist, so you feel like the government should pay for that. You're pushing for programs that allow you to just get rid of your debt, or like all the rich should pay for my debt by being taxed more because it's not fair, and equity and all this stuff. It's like they create this delusion because it only makes sense when you have this whole worldview that encompasses like equity, globalism, communism, socialism. Like, trust me, fam. Like I spent so many years arguing with these people, and it's not till I got out of university that I was like, damn, like most of the people I know from there are brainwashed. Yeah. Like to be left-leaning liberals. You know what I'm saying?
I have a couple friends like that went to university and stuff like that, and they're very... I gotta be like sometimes like, hey, see you guys. No, seriously.
There's certain things you cannot talk to about them because like they have this like
stigma,
automatic response trained by educational facilities. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Meanwhile, you're living. I lived life.
Common sense.
I live life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, but we're too stupid because we don't have the degree. That's what the mentality is.
That's how
people.
And
no, I get you.
That's why when they argue with people, let's say like you guys who we have the same like worldview to an extent, but like you guys aren't university educated, they're like, oh, it's because, you know, of racial inequality and this, that, you didn't go to school and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, even as someone who went to school, I still feel the same ways. I still lean towards
I agree with them.
I agree with them more, fam. That's what not most of my friends in life do not have university degrees. And I went to university, so like I know a lot of people that went there, but it's just like the thinking is just different, bro.
Yeah. It's left.
Listen,
it's
man.
Super left.
Pray for Toronto, man.
We
Thanks
love
for
hip-hop.
watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out these other videos on the screen and make sure to like and subscribe.
We love hip hop.